Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Yeah, baby Thunder. We are back. Sox fans, thanks for being with us here live on Sunday nights on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Subscribe, pass it along to other fine folks in your life. Audio available absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. This is season 8 of the podcast, and we are fan-centric. We are free. No commercials. You don't need to give us any money. If you want to, that's great, but we don't ask for it because it's White Sox conversation.
Actually, in a roundabout way.
Well,
I did ask for cash, which is fine. I'm open to it.
Just cash. It's Sox conversations in January, when this is the last thing that anybody wants to talk about is the Chicago White Sox, because there are bigger and more exciting things happening in the city sports-wise, that's for sure. But we're here talking Sox, but got to talk some Bears stuff. But look, jump in. Want to hear some of your comments if you're with us live about how you're feeling about this Sox offseason so far. There's some arms out there. There's been some rumors about some reunions. You got Sox Fest coming up in a couple weeks. I think 74 days until opening day, if I'm correct on that. But look, with me, as always, my best friend, big-time Bears fan, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Hey, buddy. It's good to talk to you. I got a couple things before we get started, because I was thinking about this the other day, and you and I, we didn't record last week, and to be quite honest with the audience, because we don't want to lie to people. If you and I mutually agree that there's not much to cover, we're gonna punt until the next possible week. They're probably not a whole lot to cover this week either. I missed you. I got to see you. So anyway, but so saying all that, when we're not on every week, I think I missed a couple things. So number one, you had a birthday in December, and I don't think we ever recognized that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you had a birthday December 15th, if memory serves me correctly. Yes. December 15th.
December 15th, I did almost a month ago. Yeah,
it is almost a month. It's a month late. So I did wish you personally a happy birthday, but happy 45th birthday.
Oh, wow.
You now, I think you're teeing up on the 10th hole. So congratulations. I'm behind you. I've been hitting in the woods, so I got some time to catch up to you. As usual. So that's number one. Number two, Happy New Year. According to Larry David, we're past the point of wishing people Happy New Year.
True.
We didn't have an opportunity on this show. So Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everyone listening. And then this is more important, and then this is no joke. I know you've been posting a lot about some certain things on social media. Happy 7 years of sobriety, my friend. I believe that's correct. If I'm doing my math right. And that's the most important thing. That's amazing.
You're just hitting all these anniversaries, Pat.
Well, I know me. I come prepared for these shows, Nick. I don't just sit around all day and then feverishly write some things down 5 minutes before we broadcast. I take a lot of time to think about what I want to talk about. So a lot of things for you, my friend. Again, the latter, the most important. So congratulations on all that good stuff.
Oh man. That was a great list. A great way to start. It feels like, this off season, there's been more excitement than I ever thought there would be. And really it comes down to Murawski, the Moon Man. That hit, and, I don't think anybody saw it coming. It was, that the Sox would even be players in that. So the Sox were like on top of the MLB world for a few days. But we know that this is a Bears town, Bears town all during the entire year. It's a Bears town. And with the way the Bears have been playing and the excitement around the Bears, obviously the Sox get pushed all the way into the back. And when you don't really do anything else, the rest of the off season, and there's more off season to go. I get it. You're really scraping, man. I got to give a ton of credit to Todd Welter and Sean Anderson, the folks that do this every single day, of course, CHGO and Locked On and I did it. I did that for a while. I feel like for a year and a half. And, you're expected. And there's a lot of there's so many commercials in those shows. And, it's for profit, of course, going to be commercials. And it's all about, getting the clicks, the YouTube stuff. You got to get your videos up and you got to have engagement here and you got to be constantly on social media. And those companies that drive it, man, they see the dollar signs and it's just packed with commercials and it gets kind of nauseating of all these live reads you got, but you're not making much. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You're not. And when it's in the middle of the winter and you've got to create Sox content, and look, even if you're passionate, diehard Sox fan, which we are, and so many of our listeners are, you still want to engage with that person on Sox material, but you're finding yourselves gravitating towards just clickbait, and it's clickbait. It's like we all know that Aaron Judge would never come to the White Sox in a surprise trade. But what if that happened? And you're like, oh, great. Hey, this just gave me 15 minutes material. And it's just dumb stuff. But you got to talk about something. And when your team doesn't do anything, those are long winters. You talk a lot of anniversaries. You talk a lot of on this date in Sox history. A lot of hypotheticals, you're crunching numbers, any little quote you can get. So, we've missed a couple weeks here and there. And hey, honestly, with the way these playoffs are going and the Bears keep doing what they're doing, it might be, maybe February 1st, Sunday, February 1st is our next show. We'll see.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, talking about things that are just complete clickbait, and you're right. People are scrounging for things to talk about. I read Merkin's last article today. I didn't read it. I skimmed it. I was just looking for maybe a nugget here or there of some information. There was just really, it was a puff piece on I can't remember who it was on now, but it wasn't anything all that interesting. It was just a lot of words, and to say I filled it up and I'm putting it out in somebody's email inbox.
Yeah.
And I fulfilled a commitment there. So, but I was surfing around, I think on Facebook, and I saw something pop up and it made me think of you about Danny Mendick. And I was like, am I going to take the time to read up on something about Danny Mendick to bring up to on the show today? Did you read it?
No, I saw that he became a manager of a team in, what is it? Charleston, the River Dogs, which I think is a Mike Veck, Bill Murray experiment, much like the Joliet Slammers. And he's going to take on some managerial duties, probably all of the managerial duties.
I would of all the duties, really just one or two would be fine.
But people have to generate content. Yeah. Sox on 35th. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing, some hard work, a lot of heavy lifting, and they've got numbers that they've got to hit, and they've got engagement numbers, and there's money that people are trying to make off of the Chicago White Sox. And if you're not engaging with people on social media, and if you're not constantly reposting and putting a comment out there and asking for engagement and questions, and if you don't have, video reels of, someone asked me, not too long ago when we were talking about daily podcasting, they're like, what made you kind of get out of daily podcasting? And I said, well, there were some life changes, but I was struggling with my fandom really because I wasn't able to enjoy the game. Yeah. I just wasn't able to enjoy a White Sox game because I was getting, you got to have a reaction right after the game, and it's got to be up right away because there's other people that you're competing with, and it's a hustle, man. Yeah. It's a hustle. And maybe if I was getting, paid a little bit more and it made sense. Okay, I'm going to dedicate my time to this, but I'm watching games in a way that it just wasn't enjoyable. And I'm like, hey, I did my thing. I proved to myself I could do it. I had some fun with it. Hopefully others did as well. But hats off to the people that are doing it. Because it's a weird, wild world right now in the dead of winter when you've got, like as Howard said, I mean, Bears are Chicago's team when you got the Bears doing well.
Yeah. And I was, and just speaking of the Bears, I was lucky enough to take that in live.
You were there, man.
And what an experience, first of all, to be there. The closest, I mean, the most recent thing that I could even compare it to is, when game 3 against the Astros, blackout. I was
going to ask you about that. Blackout number 2.
And it was, and I don't mean to be all, I don't know, holier than thou type of guy, but I was lucky enough to be in a suite last night. So it changes your perspective from, sitting in, I'm trying not to be an asshole, but
let's just lay the cards out on the table. That was your experience.
It changes your perspective from, because you're not really out in the crowd and you don't get the full ambiance. And that's what it was lacking. I'm not going to say I would rather have sat out in the cold and especially the snow early on, because I was there like an hour and a half early. I wouldn't have wanted to sit out in the snow, but you missed it a little bit, and the crowd just seemed jacked. I think people probably got a better feeling of what it was like more on TV than I did even live. But in those moments, because again, that you take out that game 3 versus the Astros, and what that was, I mean, just an amazing game, and come from behind, an unlikely hero, and all the things that went into that game, and just the excitement you felt, and hanging on every moment and every pitch. That's what last night was like. But again, I would say the atmosphere was better on the South side, just because I was in the atmosphere and not, regulated somewhat away from it. But just amazing. And it makes you think, and we were mentioning this before we got on, it's like, then you start going, okay, was this like the best sports moment of my life? And then I have to remember, no, it wasn't. October of 2005 was probably the greatest moment of my sports life. And then you go, okay, maybe this was number 2. And then you remember, well, I did, see 3 Hawks Cups in a short period of time, and the amazing runs that Hawks team went on, and the amazing playoff games. Just the greatness of that. And then you think back to when you were a kid, you and I and kids, and watching the Jordan years. I mean, so, then you start going, okay, then it gets bumped down the list. But
what about live though, Pat? What about like being there?
I don't know if the only experience I can say that was close was that game 3 versus the Astros, just being alive, and the juice you felt, and last night. But I'll say this, even though that Sox game was an elimination game, and you're hanging on the edge of your seat, I felt more comfortable in that baseball game. I don't know why. And maybe it was because if it's your rival, if it was the Twins, maybe I would have felt differently, right? Like last night, I felt like I couldn't, I can't relax. I can't do anything. I just have to sit here and hope that things go right. But in the Sox Astros game, maybe because again, it wasn't your biggest rival, and nothing I don't think can compare baseball wise, football wise, with the Bears Packers game. Nothing. There's no, I hate the Twins like poison, but it doesn't even compare, in my opinion, in terms of being a fan, to a Bears Packers game. That rivalry is something different.
And I think it's different for us because we were so present during the 90s Packers, where Brett Favre and the Packers just absolutely just handed to us, year after year after year. And we got a few punches in here and there. And then here comes Aaron Rodgers. And it just kind of, aside from 2006, And then there was 2010 where we go to the NFC Championship, but look who's there. It's Aaron Rodgers. So I think how do you, for me, it's like, how do you hate an opponent? You hate an opponent because they've gotten the best of you.
Yeah.
And they have beaten you. And it has been a struggle. You reckon the Jordan stuff, and it's Bulls Pistons. We couldn't get past him, and I feel like that's where the Bulls are hated so much by the Knicks and fans of the Knicks back then. Like, we stood in their way, and the Twins and the Cleveland. I mean, there's been a lot of, we just feel like especially in the 90s, boy, Cleveland, they had some teams, but yeah, Bears, Packers, that just, it had everything last night. It was dejecting, and here I'm looking at just doing stuff to keep my mind off of this game. And I don't know if you saw it, but I see that Alex Bregman gets signed by the Cubs, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Bears are down by like 15 or something. Yeah. And then breaking news, Bregman signs this big ass deal with the Cubs. And I'm like, this is not a good night. And that's just how I think as a Sox fan. Maybe that's petty. But that was not good.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the Bregman thing, because I have thoughts on that just, briefly, but just to wrap up the conversation from last night. What a great ending. What a great finish. And if people ask me, I'm getting texts, from family members like, are you composing yourself? Like, I don't know what people think I do when I watch these games. I usually just sit there with my arms crossed with a scowl, and I assume every call is going against us, and I say, run the ball.
But how are you times. When you're, if you're watching something live in person, it's the same. If you're watching it, you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's not like you when you're live, but you could talk about fan engagement and, Al Michaels, I don't know if you felt it, Pat, because you were in that suite, but Al Michaels mentioned, in his 31 appearances in Chicago calling games, it's the first time he felt the stadium actually like moving. Like,
somebody else told me that. I didn't really feel a movement under my feet. I don't know. I don't know if I felt that, but again, maybe
the suite's moving. The suite is moving? Is anybody else experiencing this? What is happening here? I didn't sign up for this. When you're live, I do feel like maybe especially in baseball, but football too, you have an impact. I will say that you have an impact. Fans have an impact on the game. But when you're live and watching it live in person, you don't have a say necessarily in the play call. I don't believe. So it's like when people are checking in with you, it's not like, well, Pat's there, so they're also, checking in to see what kind of thoughts he have on the call. So he's got a little bit more.
If they would have, and you have 4th and 1 with inside your 2, the plan is to run the ball. And
what a riverboat gambler, Ben Johnson. You didn't know that was like playing against somebody in cards that is insane. And you're like, I don't know. I can't tell. I'm sorry. I can't tell if you're bluffing or if you've got the cards. You're
an insane person.
So I don't know what to do right now. And I think Ben Johnson straight up was, I don't trust my defense, and I just have to keep going for it. And what a two worlds there, man. Two worlds, first half, second half. And were you through the Roosevelt ramp, the tunnel? Did you take the tunnel? What was that experience leaving that stadium?
Yeah. I mean, it was, you come out basically where gate O is, and then, I'm walking under that tunnel to the Waldron deck. So I didn't go through the second of the tunnels, but I mean, the funniest thing was my 12-year-old looks at me and goes, "Dad, I have learned some colorful language tonight." The things, not just the Packers suck chants, but everything else that goes with it, and it's euphoric. And I told him, I said, "Listen, son, this is a father-son moment, and you can say just about anything you want in the moment right now. Let's just scream
Just
obscenities at the top of our lungs and have a father-son moment of cussing in public at people and everybody. It's all in joy. It's all pure joy. So
tradition.
What a wonderful night. Great night
for you
to do that. And you'll do that someday with Vinny at big moments, I'm sure. And and it was great. But I did want to go back, if you don't mind. I did want to just talk about the Bregman deal.
Please do.
And not so much from the, I can't believe this happened, because it doesn't really shock me. It was been rumored, I think, for some time that this was a possibility, but I didn't think people really believed it, because I think a lot of Cubs fans felt like the Cubs were out of the market for spending anymore. They weren't going to really do that anymore. It seemed like they're going a little bit more all in with the checkbook. But it just curious to me, and that's not the first one that's been signed. Somebody else had signed, maybe it was Vlad when he signed his extension with the Blue Jays. You're looking at a 5-year deal. And I think one of the things that you and I talked about was, what is the impact of this work stoppage that's coming up in 2027? And now you see a pretty big name signing a 5-year contract with a lot of money. Is this, are we as Sox fans taking this? And again, we're not usually in the market to be signing guys anyway. But are we taking this? Well, it's probably not going to happen anyway because of the work stoppage. Are we giving our Sox an out, an excuse not to go after anybody because we're just assuming in 2027 things are stopping and it'll be hard to do anything? Or is it, hey, other teams are doing things. We have a definite need for right field, unless something has changed since we last got in the air, and you probably could use some pitching, right? So what's really stopping this team from going out and spending money on a position? Now, you don't need to fill 9 holes right now. You have 1 or 2 things that you could probably go out and be really competitive in this division, in my opinion. I already think they're going to be competitive, but you have a glaring hole in right field that I think if you really wanted to, you could invest in.
Yeah, you're right. We've been saying it for a long time, and it bubbles up in different ways, depending on the season or the stretch that they're in. And this is just my perspective, my fan take on it. We drink that Kool-Aid that's being handed to us by now Chris Getz of trust these prospects, trust these young guys. When the time is right, we're going to start fleshing this out, and we're going to allocate the monies appropriately to really get some heavy hitters in here. And you just wait. The money's going to be spent. And Rick Hahn said it, of course, and he's going to wear that forever, having seats at the table, and the money will be spent. And money was spent. It just wasn't spent the right way. And, I think they missed out on, so many different opportunities that definitely could have been had in a White Sox way, which are some of these guys that are leaving free agency and have signed. You could make arguments like that could have been White Sox money. They could have spent that to improve this roster. So I think, going back to your question, it's frustrating, and it's always frustrating because I just feel like maybe it's the GM, and we were, the curtain was pulled back a little bit with that Moon Man stuff of Getz opening his mouth saying how he had to catch Jerry up to speed on why signing someone like Murawski is a huge deal, and how that would bring in revenue and advertisement and fans. And it's like, if your owner doesn't get that and isn't willing to work with you on that, or if he doesn't know that already, or she, you have got to defeat so many demons as a GM. It's like, not only am I trying to, get talent over here, but I'm also trying to convince an owner who doesn't see it and is so far behind the times. So I'm not giving GMs an out here or gets an out, but clearly, if you didn't know already that there's issues with Reinsdorf in his ownership group, that gave you that should have been the nail right there in the understanding. And so, you got young guys, and I think Sox fans, at least the Sox fans I've been talking to, and I'm going to be at Sox Fest coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm going to hear from more Sox fans, and I'm going to get a sense of what they're thinking. But the ones that I've talked to so far, Pat, this offseason are feeling they're in a better mood than they were last offseason.
Yeah.
Pitching, man, I don't know the arms that we're going to be throwing right now. There's a lot of scrap heap stuff, and there's a lot of cunning and guile and crossing our fingers. But that, again, circling all the way back to what you're originally saying, there's ultimately when you machete the hope and prospects and things are trending up and this, when you machete that, you're like, but you could go get actual talent, like real proven talent, right?
Yeah.
You can do that and be hopeful of your prospects. That's what, drives me crazy.
Yeah. And I think, and I was with some colleagues, former colleagues from ESPN last night and just chatting with them. And of course the conversation, for me at some point is going to be about White Sox. And, and I think I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago the Jerry opening his mouth and talking about, that Ishbia is not involved with any of the operations, and he's not really going to take over until I'm dead conversation. But the other part was that Jerry really feels confident that they're going to be competitive in 2027. And it makes my blood boil, one, because there's a potential work stoppage happening in 2027. And two, if you really wanted to, you could go for it now. You could go for it in 2026. Why would you have to just wait and let's wait till everything materializes perfectly and we could be competitive in 2027? To me, I just like what I saw last year. I like what the manager brought to the table. I'm more excited about Chris Getz than I thought I would be. It doesn't mean that I'm no pun intended, over the moon about Chris Getz, but I don't understand why you sign a guy from Japan and spent the money you did to not try and go for it in 2026 now, when you have the opportunity. It just doesn't make any sense to me. To go back to where we were before, when it felt like they never would push their chips into the middle of the table. It was like, well, we could be a little creative with another little trade here or there, instead of going out and going big and leaving no doubt and stomping on throats. Again, maybe I'm out over my skis on what I think the potential of this team is. I'm crazy with an 81 and 81, but shit, man, it's like,
I'm not playing cards with you anytime soon.
Because I'm the crazy riverboat gambler now. But I don't know. It just bothers me. It's like, again, this won't happen, but there is, I think, unless I've missed something, there is a guy that played in Chicago last year that's a left-handed hitter, that's a right fielder, that it would just cost you some money, and it would be a big contract. But
it sounds like conversations with the Yankees, and we're speaking of Bellinger, of course, that's not going very well. I mean, but and that, you say that to somebody, another Sox fan, and they'll just, sometimes they'll roll their eyes and like, well, that's not going to happen. Valdez isn't going to come here. And it's like, that's the argument. It's like, why not? I cannot wait to get out of that world of the Sox are never going to be an option. I want the Sox to be in that conversation. We're not going to land everybody. And that's not going to guarantee us, of course, a World Series, or a trip to the World Series. I get it. But it can't hurt to play that game. Yeah. Again, it's not our money. Okay. So I want us to be in those conversations every single offseason of, you can't rule the Sox out. Sox are having conversations with multiple of the top, free agents. That would be, wow, would that be something? That would be, that's where I want to get to.
Yeah.
Is feeling like, as a fan, when I'm asked to invest in the team and, that I know that they are looking absolutely and every single option to get better, and not just get better on the fringes. We'll talk Jared Kelenic in a second here, but to get seriously better with proven talent.
Yeah. So that was just something that, the Bregman deal was just sparked that in me to say, if it can be done and other teams aren't worried about this work stoppage and they're going to do business as usual, regardless of what is going to happen. If you want to be competitive, and again, I know it's the Cubs are not in your division, but if you want to be competitive in baseball with what's going on around you, eventually you have to act in a way that might feel uncomfortable. But that was interesting to me. And then I just wrote down another note, and I know you've got other things you want to talk about, but something that I think it was brought up on, maybe I was listening to White Sox Weekly, and just the little bit of the glut that we have at catcher position and trading away catching to fill a need. And I think that probably, if I'm looking at trades, maybe that makes the most sense when you have a position that you have more than you probably need, rather than I say that because I just don't want to get to the point where we're moving guys in other positions because we don't want to let them go, and try and make them there's something or not, right? I'd rather move one of them and fill a need. So I'm just curious about your thoughts on the catching that we have and moving one of the, and I don't know which one will ultimately be the one. I think it'll be Teal, but
really,
I think it will be. But I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. I just feel like that's, to me, that's my gut feeling.
Yeah, I feel like it could be Caro, and I hear a lot of people, talking about Caro, and I saw a little bit of that too, Pat. We picked up some catching depth recently. I think it was from the Mets, maybe within the last week. And does this mean that we're going to be trading away some of our catching sooner than later? And if the time is right, Pat, and you've got an arm out there in this situation, really in the starting rotation, but of course we need bullpen help as well, and it's gonna fit here and maybe even in the future, then why sit on that? Well, why sit on that and just keep it in a safe and just say that you've got extra catching depth? I don't see that and why that should happen. So, but that could happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I would think it would, because you mentioned earlier, I mean, we're 74, 75 days away from opening day, which means pitchers and catchers are going to be reporting in mid-February, if that sounds about right, which is about a month away.
It's like around President's Day weekend or so. I mean, that's like February.
You're the only person I know that knows when President's Day is. God bless you for it.
President's Day weekend falls in line with Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is on Saturday, and then President's Day, I think, is going to be celebrated on that Monday, the 16th.
Would it be your dream to do like the race that they do at the Nationals and get in one of those big costumes, that like the George Washington costume, and do the race?
I would love that. When I was living in DC for my 2 years, and I applied for a job to work at the White House to be a presidential historian. Like I was.
Wait a minute. Wait a second. Wait. You have never told me this story that you. Well, there's a lot. I mean, at the White House.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know if I could have told you everything that I was. The every happening while I was in DC. But
Nick, if one of my friends applies for a job at the White House, I feel like that's story worthy. No.
Yeah, I mean, if I would have got an interview, you would have known. But they didn't even. I didn't even get a call. It must have been an inside hire. But I didn't get. But it was right up my alley. It was like, you need someone that's very versed in presidential history. Can publicly speak. Well, I've got a mass comm degree. Check. That's great. You're leading kid tours. I'm like, well, I've been a teacher for X. It all worked out. So I don't know. But that would have been an ultimate if I could have been able to do that.
that is something
I might have never came home then, Pat. I might never came back to Chicago.
Well, it's like the butterfly effect, like the what if, one thing goes this way and boom, who knows? You might be in the cabinet a couple of years later. Here's Nick with some thoughts.
Don't even get me started right now.
This is the wrong show. This is not the right show for us.
Let's get back to the so look, I mean, some things have happened. The Sox have picked up some guys. There's guys that are coming off injury. That's a lot of hope there. And so the latest hope here, Pat, is former top prospect Jared Kelenic agreeing to a minor league deal with the White Sox recently. Will be a non-roster invitee to spring training. Kelenic, 26 years old, elected free agency earlier this offseason after the Braves removed him from the 40-man roster and outrighted him to AAA. He hit a .167 with a .531 OPS in 24 games for Atlanta last year, mostly playing right field. So there goes your right field problem. That's solved. We're going to try to catch this guy on the up and up. The Mets originally selected Kelenic with the number 6 overall pick in the 2018 MLB draft and made him the centerpiece of a deal with the Mariners that sent Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano to New York. When Kelenic debuted with the Mariners in May of 2021, he did so as MLB Pipeline's number 4 overall prospect. So this is really hope and a prayer. This is and this has happened to us, Pat. So many years. Our top pick, Bupkis, nothing. They just, Vaughn, looks like Vaughn's got some magic in Milwaukee right now. We'll see what happens, change of scenery for him. Could that happen for Kelenic with us? But this is what the Sox are doing, and they tell it to us. Entering every offseason, don't expect big moves. It could be just a bluff, but why bluff? Why bluff? And not, if you are ready to compete, just come out and just lay them out there and say, we're coming after you.
Here they are. Here's my plums. We're ready to go.
We're coming after you. So if you're ready to play for a team that's getting, their ducks in a row, and you want to be in the up and up, like, we're coming after you. And so, but, we're going to see what happens with Kelenic. Right now, you got Benintendi, Robert Jr., maybe Brooks Baldwin in your outfield. And so we'll see what Kelenic can do in the spring. But, okay, what do you have to lose? Not much. Okay. It's a low commitment, but to our point earlier, it's like, it just kind of gets frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a lot that you can get excited about. I mean, there's stuff there, right? A number 6 pick in a draft. That means that there was something there that was really working. And he probably whatever he was putting up statistically earned him that spot to get picked 6th overall. And a top prospect, and that's all wonderful. But it doesn't work out for all these guys all the time. So again, we'll see on that. And one thing we didn't really get a chance to talk about either, and maybe this is just we just kind of breezed by this. There were some Moncada reunions back with the White Sox discussion, or the Sox were talked about as one of the teams. That could be, that we could be a potential landing spot for Yoan Moncada. Speaking of top prospect type of players, how would that sit with you, Nick, if we woke up sometime between now and the beginning of the season and it said happy reunion with the Chicago White Sox and Yoan Moncada?
That's not the reunion I want. No, I'll hit you with a couple of reunions that I actually wouldn't mind. Okay, they might not be my favorite, but I wouldn't mind a couple of these reunions. But one of them is not Moncada. I mean, he's 30 years old. Okay, so he's 30. Primarily played third base last season with the Angels. Only 84 games. /234, 336, 448. Nothing big. We know his history. Okay. We know what he can do. You know, sometimes you want to partner with the devil, I don't want that, and what are you going to like? He's going to be a bench guy.
Yeah.
Right. He's not going to beat out Miguel at third base.
You wouldn't think so.
So he's just coming off the bench, and I don't know. I don't see that from McCann, and I don't think that's what he wants.
Maybe beggars can't be choosers.
That's a clickbait article. That's hey, you got to put something out there every single day. That one, there's other reunions that make more sense. That one makes no sense to me.
All right, well, give me the ones that do make sense.
Here's one that I think you can make an argument for. I think you can make an argument for a Giolito reunion.
Okay.
I think you could say we need it. We need the arm. If he's willing to come and take whatever money, 30 years old, missed all of 2024 with some arm issues. But last year with Boston, 145 innings, 26 games, had a 3.41 ERA. I believe he's still on the table, and I don't know if he's connected to too many teams, but you could do worse. You could do a lot worse, I think.
Well, it's obviously if and I was somewhat being, joking with the Mancata thing. That's not something I would want, but this would make more sense because you need starting pitching that can eat up some innings. That's going to be somewhat reliable. Just hopefully if that were to ever be a reunion, I hope it's not the completely jacked, like humongous upper half. Lucas Giolito.
I think he learned his lesson. I hope he did.
I put on 75 pounds of muscle. I thought it'd be a great idea. Here I go.
He looks like he has been out. If the photos that I've seen, because I didn't follow too much, but he has really looked like a survivor man. He has got a beard of bees and just he is, which I appreciate, man. Do what you got to do. I love it.
If he had a 3+ ERA while wearing a beard of bees, I mean, would that be something? That's a great story.
That's a hell of it's more than clickbait. That's a real story you read.
Like if I'm Chris Getz, I'm like, listen, we can't get much better of an attraction than Lucas Giolito pitching with a beard of bees. Imagine the crowds that we'll have watching Lucas pitch every night with a beard of bees.
And that would be then Chris Getz would have to say, we had to kind of sell Jerry. We kind of had to, open his mind up to why that would be a big deal, why you would get more tickets and why people would want to see it. He came around, but we had to kind of clue him into that. That sounds like a Savannah Bananas situation. Are your kids, can I ask you a question really quick? Are your kids into, are they all hot and bothered over they're big baseball kids? You got a lot of sports going on in your life. Are they into the Savannah Bananas and all these different teams?
I think if they're on and we see them on TV, we'll check them out. And I think if we had the opportunity to go to a game, I think we would, and I think they'd have fun. But I don't think it's something that at least my kids are like seeking out. Like, hey, how can I find this and consume this product on a? I mean, I don't even know how often they play or what they do. It's entertainment and it's fun and it's, fine for what it is. But I think it's enough for where it lives for my kids is, catching things on YouTube. And that's about where it's at.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was just like I was hearing some, nephews and just around Christmas time, like people are getting Savannah Banana jerseys, and Vince got one. Vince got one from somebody. It was either my parents or it was another relative. And
okay,
it's kind of fun. It's fun. It's exciting. Hey, baseball's. If it could get him excited about baseball, which I don't think he needs the extra push to get excited about baseball. He's very much excited about what's going on right now, and which got to give a shout out to Vince. Okay. He's not listening. He'll never listen to this, at least right now. He started his first little baseball camp at the Great Bow Dome.
Wow.
In wonderful Lockport. And
Okay.
he started his first little baseball camp, and that was a lot of fun to see him get excited out there, bringing his glove and working on running bases, and that was really enjoyable.
Well, that's fantastic. Good for Vince, who will never listen to this episode. He won't.
All right, getting back to another reunion before Moncada. These are reunions I wouldn't mind seeing before Moncada.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Quintana's out there. He's a 37-year-old hurler, man.
Wow.
Bring him back. The guy can still pitch. If you're looking at, we just need an arm. We need a 5 that can throw. He could throw, man. He could still throw.
And I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have it, but I assume he did pitch last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What were his innings last year?
I don't know. He's a 1.9 WAR, if that matters. I don't know.
You never say anything about WAR, and then you just come back.
It was my New Year's resolution. My New Year's resolution
to learn more about WAR
was to talk more WAR in baseball podcasts. Yeah.
Okay. That one I'd be less excited about, to be honest, just because of the age, and I don't know the durability. But again, if we need if we need a body that's somewhat reliable, you could do worse things, I guess, than that. So
you can look at Eric Fetty, you can look at Chris Bassett, a couple of guys that are out there still that can give you innings. I wouldn't mind that. I really wouldn't mind it. Is it my favorite thing? Is it going to move the needle? No, but like, there are some arms out there. You're looking at this list, and of course there's some heavy hitters, but again, we still have the rest of January. You got a month.
Yeah.
You've got a month until spring training. Okay. Realistically. So I'm hoping, they get a little bit more aggressive in the pitching world.
I would think they'd have to, but as you and I know, over the trend over the last couple of years seems to be like things don't really. It doesn't, just because spring training starts doesn't mean deals are done by spring training. It used to be. It seemed like it used to be that way. Like everything kind of got buttoned up and done. The I's are dotted, the T's are crossed before pitchers and catchers reported. Especially if obviously you're looking at still filling out some pitching, but that's not the case these days. It will bleed into, it'll bleed into spring training, which gets a little maddening when you're a fan like you and I are. And like, can you just tell me what we're going to be and what the direction is going to be 100%? Or you like this limbo that you kind of get yourself into, but we just have to, it's what it's going to be. So, you probably have a month. You probably have a month and a half or almost 2, really.
Possibly. And anything can happen, of course, in spring training. There's injuries left and right, and you sometimes have to scramble. I mean, the Sox did go after some pitching since the last time we talked. We brought in that Sean Newcomb a gentleman, 32 years old, split the 2025 season between the Red Sox and the Athletics, which I love. I love that the Las Vegas Athletics can't be the Las Vegas Athletics, that like a fan bar patent that name. That's hilarious. That's a story for another time. I'm sure people have read that. That is so great. But he went 2-5 with a 2.73 ERA, 2 saves, 4 holds, and 91 strikeouts over 48 combined appearances, 5 starts, and 92 1/3 innings. He's a southpaw, and I'm hearing that I think Getz might even talked about having him in the rotation, perhaps.
Okay.
It's a 1-year deal, I think, and this could be the bridge to obviously whatever they're going to do next season. But not a bad pickup there. I was fine with that pickup, and if you think he can get into that rotation again, like, where are your innings going to come from?
Yeah,
they're going to have to come from a lot of different sources. So then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, because we still need bullpen. help. So,
well, maybe we just won't need the bullpen, Nick. We just maybe we go old school when everybody goes 8 innings, and then we just kind of turn back time.
That would be refreshing. That would be something that I could see. Would Jerry go for the beer to bees with Giolito more, or if Getz tried to sell him on no bullpen? He'd probably be like, great, no bullpen. I love it.
All right. I think Jerry, is romanticizes old baseball, specifically old Brooklyn Dodgers baseball. And I'm sure that they didn't really have much of a bullpen the time period that he loved. And I think that's fine. He would probably just say, yeah, these guys should go throw 200 pitches a game, and we'll just ride it out that way. Yeah. Seems like a more efficient way to use your budget.
And that is the beauty of baseball. It's like you talk to different people, different fans, and they're coming with different perspectives from the era that they kind of fell in love with the game. And you kind of revert back to when you think a certain sport was a certain sport, like, well, that was when it was really baseball. And maybe it's more of a current flavor for you. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't an enjoyable thing. I think there's time left in this off season, but of those two crazy possible reunions, Moncada or Giolito, I'd rather see the Giolito.
I would too. I mean, especially when you're talking about the stats that you had mentioned that seemed like that would fit in. Again, this is not a hoping he's returning to his former really dominant self for about a year and a half, seemingly, when he was the ace of our staff, and you really could rely on Giolito. People would put out on social media, it's Giolito Day, and you get excited about that. Yeah. I'm not going to fool myself into believe that's who he is anymore, but can I get some version of a successful pitcher? Not the, just like, can we meet in the middle, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not the 6 ERA Lucas Giolito from his early part of his career, and not necessarily the, vying for a Cy Young type of Lucas Giolito. Can I get somewhere in the middle, which it seems like he's kind of settled into? Yeah, I'd be all about it.
If you know your role, and you can kind of admit to that and say, hey, I'm not a headliner. I'm not your ace. I'm not going to be your anchor, but I can log innings. I could still pitch, and perhaps he might feel more comfortable under the new regime.
Yeah.
Same owner, but different ways that things are going. I've heard there's been a lot of change, with the front office. And so, and a lot of players are gone, right? So if there was that toxic, those cliques, the clubhouse was, bad, just bad vibes.
Yeah.
And that's no longer there anymore. He might
a lot of young guys. I mean, he's coming in as
he's the veteran. I mean, he is the he's the Grizzly Adams veteran. And that's kind of an interesting thing. And perhaps maybe he takes on that role in a different way. But so the way it's panning out, it looks like we'll probably, shoot for Sunday, February 1st, as a next episode. And that'll be the end of Sox Fest. So Sox Fest is just a 2-day event at that Ramova Theater in Bridgeport once again, Friday, January 30th and Saturday, January 31st. So I got the Todd Welter, who does Locked On White Sox, reached out to me and said, hey, they're giving opportunities to some folks to get a press pass, and I think to podcast from Sox Fest. Would you be interested in joining me, for this event? And I said, well, that was very nice of you. I think I could make that work. So I don't know I don't even know how this is all going to work. But I'm supposed to get some sort of press pass for Saturday the 31st. So we might be doing a show there might be a show going on at Sox Fest.
Are you talking to me? That
No.
we will be doing a show?
No,
you'll be doing a show.
I'll be doing a show.
You'll be doing a show.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, maybe a chance to talk to some of the. I'll give you the list here. Who would you tell me who you'd want to talk to here?
Okay.
So current players. This is scheduled to attend Sox Fest. Current players: Davis Martin, Chase Mydroth, Colson Montgomery, Luis Robert Jr., Shane Smith, Grant Taylor, Kyle Teal, Miguel Vargas. Your prospects: Tanner McDougal, Sam Antonetti, and front office Chris Getz, Will Venable. Who are you trying to talk to? Who are you trying to get a few minutes with on a podcast?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. The players I think would be fun. Any of those would be interesting to talk to. But I would want to talk to the man Chris Getz, because I'm more interested in the direction of more about learning about what his vision is. I want to hear more about, can I nail you down on a timeline of when we're going to be, when you think that you want to be going after this division and be aggressive in it. Again, the answer a lot of the questions that I have of why can't it be us now? Why? Again, I won't go into what I already spoke about, but that would be what would be on my list. What say you?
I think that's I don't know if he'd be transparent, listen.
No, he wouldn't be. He'd lie to you.
And I feel like we'd get a lot of the same. I'm really curious to talk to Colson Montgomery. I mean, this guy, I think, is, I don't know if you saw I know Sydney mentioned it earlier about the bobblehead. If I had a guess on where that was going to land, the image of the Colson Montgomery bobblehead is fantastic. If you're a bobblehead lover, I mean, it's got the new City Connect jersey. It looks fantastic. That's a great tease. That's a great marketing tease. And I think you and I had talked about this towards the end of the season, is who are you marketing? Who are young Sox fans going after here? Because you think Robert Jr. is going to be gone eventually, very soon. And Colson Montgomery, Merck predicting 40 bombs this year, in an article. So Colson Montgomery is your first tease of a bobblehead. When you're giving that out, I think you're waiting to the summer, perhaps, where you're going to get some people to come out. But maybe it's like, we know we're going to get numbers in the summer, so maybe that is a May thing. Maybe that is, we'll see. But I would like to talk to Montgomery.
And I can't blame you for that. Again, I would like to talk to especially Montgomery. He's got a intriguing story of, and we all know the story, the struggles, the ups and the downs, and the perseverance. I think it's something to be commended, and hopefully it continues. So that's good. By the way, I forgot to, in all the things that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, all the happies this and the happies that, I forgot to mention we missed National Bobblehead Day, which I meant to send you a message about. I was out of town this week and lost some train of thought. So happy National Bobblehead Day to you.
Yeah. Thank you. That's when they made the announcement.
Yeah,
it was on National Bobblehead Doll Day, and I was hoping that they were going to do a Colson Montgomery, and Peyton asked in the chat right now if I had a wish list, and I like what they did last year was great, and of course it's centered around the 125 anniversary. They did a ton of nostalgia. They went by decades. They gave you some fan favorites. They gave you some unique options, some unsung heroes like a Ray Durham that doesn't get much love but should. And that was awesome to see. It really, I think it got younger fans. Those conversations started with their father or their grandfather or grandmother or aunt or whatever the situation is of, well, who is Louis Aparicio or who is Dick Allen? Like, explain to me. And you had conversation. So generations of Sox fans could talk. There's something there that is the conduit to the conversation, whether during the game or coming home or you see it on your shelf or somewhere at your house, like who is this guy? And so good on the Sox of like, drumming up the yesteryears and in all of the hubbub over 125. So I'd like to see some older guys, brought back, sprinkle in, some fan favorites. I don't know his relationship with the White Sox. I feel like it's a bit cantankerous, but a Blackjack McDowell, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I got to give the anniversaries. I mean, what are we, 2026? I mean, where are your anniversaries? What are we celebrating here?
I'd have to get.
Yeah,
that'd take me a minute to. There's very few and far between things that we can celebrate, but
yeah, I'm looking forward to that promo. I am. I'm looking forward to that promo. Over break, I found a one that I've been looking for a long time. I found on the secondary market. I found the Jose Abreu superhero night, which is kind of a tough one. He's in the 83 with a red cape on, with a red bat and a black mask. It's a nice bobblehead. So,
well, again, I'm just concerned about where you're going to put it, but I'm sure you'll find it somewhere.
Don't worry about that. All right. Well, we'll see how things shape up, and I'll be able to maybe give some updates on Sox Fest next time we have a podcast.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I would love to hear the stories of Sox Fest from you and your.
I'm curious to see what it looks like at Ramova. I really am, and see how they do this. And I heard it's very different than how they used to do it. Like at what was it, the Palmer House, or it was at a bunch of different places downtown, different hotel, convention center type of thing. So I'm curious to see what this looks like. So, we're going to get to a quote of the week here in just a moment. I want to thank everybody for jumping in with us live, all the suggestions, all the comments, all the stuff here on a cold January night here in Chicago. It means a ton. Folks staying up late, and the folks consume this podcast the day after and many days after. And any way you do, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like that stream, and you can subscribe to the audio absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We're on socials at Good Guys TB. Quote of the week comes from your man, Chris Getz, the man you want to talk to. And this is just about him as a workaholic, and what he has to say about his ethics. I don't even know if I like the time off, quite honestly. I love diving in, Getz told MLB.com recently. It probably drives my family nuts, and perhaps some of our employees, as I'm pinging them early in the morning or late at night or in the middle of the night. I love this job, and I love pursuing ways to get us better.
Okay. So, that's great.
Yeah.
Well,
do you believe it? I don't know.
Again, I can't say too many bad things about Chris Getz right now. I'm glad he's working hard. Good for you, but take a break. Listen, you need some time for your personal life. Otherwise, your career will consume you. And at the end of the day, you're not going to look back and say, well, I could have made one more phone call to this free agent. You're going to remember the memories with your family. So that's my dad wisdom for Chris Getz is, listen, there's more to life than just your career.
I think that's great. And I think that's advice that if I have a chance to talk with him, I'll share that. And I will I will give you credit. I will give you credit. Absolutely.
Then he'll say, I'm going to punch you in the face, and then you go punch your friend in the face. I'm going to do what I want to do.
I'm sure he's going to be cordial, and he'll be just a joy if I get that opportunity. This was great, Pat. I missed talking with you, and I wanted to hear all about that Bears experience. Such a cool moment that you got to share with your son. And we get more football. As Al Michaels, I don't know if you didn't get a chance to hear this, but Al Michaels, like whenever he had a filler, like he didn't know what to say during the telecast, he would remind people that the winner goes on. It was like really odd. Like it's just like, and we got a game on our hands. Your winner moves on. It's like, I guess he's speaking to the folks that have never seen kind of a playoff style before, but it was kind of humorous. But yeah, when Bears move on, we've got more Bears playoff experience. It's home against the Rams. We don't know the time and all that other stuff, but that's exciting.
But we do know the temperature. I looked, early reports say if it's a Saturday game, it's a high of 18. If it's a Sunday game, a high of 19.
Yeah,
so
baby.
I like that. I like that advantage Bears in my opinion.
I like that kind of party. It's exciting stuff. It's catching everybody by storm, man. This is how it is. This is a Bears town. So I will be watching. Pat, always a pleasure, buddy. Fun talking with you.
Yeah, a great show, bud. And we'll be back February 1st, something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, let's hope so. Unless some major things happen, like the Sox signed Kyle Tucker, then we'll just let it lie for a little while.
I feel like the way we've hyped up this Giolito reunion, if Giolito comes back, I feel like we got to stop the presses and we got to talk about it.
We could spend 15 minutes on that.
All right. Folks, again, thank you so much for being with us. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.